Alright, shalom, shalom. Right, first and foremost, I'd like to begin. I give them all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Rabbashai, Ba'ashem, Kadash. Alright, double honors to our elders and apostles of great milestone and shalom to all you brothers and the four corners of the earth that teaching this good gospel in all sincerity and in all teaching this good gospel in all sincerity and in all truth. Alright, shalom, this brother Yahweh here back with another video, alright, and this video will be on Psalms chapter 1, right? And it sees maybe 6 verses, so that'll be, just a quick lesson. Psalm chapter 1, and I'll come back with another lesson. Just two quick lessons before camp, and hopefully they will be edifying, right? So Psalms 1 and 1, it says, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. And when the NLT says, oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, because the wicked of this world, because I did share testimony in a lesson I did when we were reading Proverbs 1, right? And I'll share it again because it says follow, and then it says, oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, because they are wicked and I'm going to try to get advice, even if you might be a man of the Lord and the wicked will try to entice you to do the wrong thing, right? But hear the testimony because with my cousin, sometime I know we just chilling, and he say, hey, let me go, you don't want people of this world, just think, folly or think to do the wrong thing, right? Hey, let me go and teach that man car about tree and sell it. I say, hey, me, I good. You see why I roll with? I had my little small Bible in my pocket and I say, so now I just drawing a reference to him. So I say, so what if now, I go with you to tip that battery and the catchery and this the pulling out, they see that I have a Bible on me. They'll say, you coming to thief car battery and you have a Bible on you. I just saying I wasn't gonna do that. I said, no, you're mad, I'm not gonna do that. Like I know you're not supposed to steal, right? I mean, we could read the Proverbs as well, Proverbs 1 just to back up, right? And now it says, the joys of them who do not, will take the advice of the wicked. To arrive at shy, right? Like Proverbs 1 and verse 10 says, my child, if sinners entice you, turn your back on them, and that what we gotta do. Right? Because you try to entice me to not do the wrong thing, but then you see after, I was joking. Which I believe, he could have been joking or not. I don't really know. Right? But whether he joking or not, I wasn't gonna do it. Right? But he could have been joking or not, he laugh after it, after I see that all of them started laugh, you know. So I think it was a joke. But that the kind of that the people of this world feel, you know. So just bringing that just to back up that, right? So Psalms 1 and verse 2 at the NA, 1 and verse 1 in GNT at the NLT. Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or just stand around with sinners, or join in with mockers, and it have a meaning behind that because look, I was standing around with a sinner, he's a sinner, my other cousin is a sinner, and my cousin, he had his friend there, both three of them is sinners, right? And I was standing there just chilling with them. But is that understanding behind that. You don't just go and stand around with sinners every day, or every day them on the block, you go on the block day with them every day, stand around with them. No, you don't do that. Or join with mockers. You don't do that thing. Let mockers be mockers. Scoffers and mockers will be scoffers, mockers will be mockers. Right? We know these things will come, but we're not supposed to be, go and join with them. Right? But verse 2 it says, but his delight is in the law of the Lord Yahweh Shemeshah, and in his law do it he meditate day and night. And he said, but they delight, right, in the law of the Lord Yahweh Shemeshah, meditating on it day and night, and that will, that's what we're supposed to be doing, meditating on the Lord's, meditating on the Lord, his laws, his statutes and his commandments give unto us day and night. right? That we're supposed to, you know, be doing. And the scripture says, right? Because it say, and his delight is in the law of the Lord, and Yahweh Shemishan in his law do to meditate. Then I hear it says, and he is still, still talking about, it's still continuing on, right? It's still continuing on from verse 2. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Right? And I be righteous. Right? Because in the GNT says, remember it says, they delight in the law of the Lord, meditating on it day and night. And even says in verse 3 now, they, see, same day, they are like a tree. They are like trees planted along the river bank, bearing fruit each season. If a tree planted by the river bank, it will always be, will always have water. You can never go dry, right? Their leaves never wither, and they prosper in all they do, and that is, pretty righteous, right? Because them meditating on the Lord's commandments day and night, and that's how them are like him too, right? They'll prosper in everything that they do. Right, cause watching the brother, well, he's my elder, the elder, brother, Bakwa he did a lesson on Psalms 1 as well. Now he's saying, the same was for, Moses, and Jacob. I think he mentioned Moses, but, I think it was Moses and Jacob, right? Everything that they put their hand to prosper. And look, Job and all. When he was going through the series where he went through Job, he done that already. Right, but Farmer is on a roll. He's going very fast. He done past that, did a lot of chapters, right? And when he was going through the Job, Job was, everything that Job put his hand to, he was prospering in. Because the Lord, he was doing the right thing. So the Lord will bless him, you know. But continuing on, right? It says, verse 4, right? The ungodly are not so. Remember, I was talking about the righteous here in verse 1. So like in verse 1, verse 2, verse 3. And now it's talk about the ungodly, but the ungodly are not so. They are not likened to, you know, the tree planted by, the rivers of water that, bring forth fruit in the season, as leaf shall not without it. The ungodly are not likened unto that. Only the righteous, right? The ungodly are not so. They are not that way, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. But the wicked, but not the wicked. They are like worthless chaff scattered by the wind. Because if you look at leaves, right, leaves that fall from the tree, the wind go and just blow that all about. And that what they are like him too. Right? The worthless. Them no profit nothing, right? Verse 5, therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. The NLT says they will be condemned at the time of judgment. Right? The ungodly, because when you're ungodly, get put in the judgment seat, they'll try to blaspheme. Like the kind of things the ungodly will do, try to blaspheme and try to lie. Right? But you say they will be condemned. See that word? Condemned. Right? Sentenced to a particular punishment, especially death. The condemned, they will get judgment. Sinners will have no place among the godly because it have the ungodly and it have the godly. The godly is the one that serving Yahweh Hashem Hashem. The ungodly, they are not serving no God. They're just ungodly. Right? They are like the fool that Satan has had. There's no God. Right? And verse 6 it says, for the Lord Yahweh Hashem Hashem know the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. And we know. The Lord knows the way of everyone. Right? But the Lord don't really care about everyone else. He just care about his elect. Really and truly. He care about his elect. Right? For the Lord watches over the path of the godly, but the path of the wicked leads to destruction because they are just sinners. They're doing the wrong thing. Right? They are not serving Yahweh Hashem Yeshua. So the Lord don't have no care for them. They will just be, they will just die. Really. Right? The Lord have no kind of care for them. Right? So you don't even watching over their path. You don't can just judge them because remember every day you read and repent. Right? Zephaniah, not sure. Zephaniah 3 and 5. Zephaniah 3 and verse 5 says, the just Lord is in the midst, and will just means righteous. Thereof he will not do iniquity, every morning duty bringeth judgment. To like he feeleth not, but the unjust will no shame. And LT says, but the Lord is still there in the city, and he does no wrong. The Lord is perfect, he does not do no type of wrong. Day by day he hands down justice, and he does not fail for the wicked. No, 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 no shame. So every day the Lord can bring the judgment to life, and he will not judge his ungodly and judge his sinners. And I 144 kala yamlaya hawash that is the time, right? And that's the back of the part where it says the Lord watches over the part of the ungodly. Because we know the Lord, you can just press the cross reference, because we know the Lord does watch over the godly, right? Psalms 37 and verse 18. So day by day the Lord takes care of the innocent, and they will receive an inheritance that lasts forever. And the Lord does take care of the innocent. Lord Isaac will be the righteous, right? Salah. Salah. I put the cross reference on the NLT side. Yeah, man. Suppose I want. I really don't know. It's the Proverbs. I think that's a Proverbs. Oh, wait. I think I remember it. Sad I remember, but I kind of forgetting. It's Psalms. It's a Psalms. Psalms. Psalms 1. Give me for a second. I know it's a Psalms, right? I just try to remember what Psalms it is. And I'm not checking my hard copy. Bible Psalms 1. 1 something. Psalms 125. Um, 1 something. Wait my first second. I know it's a Psalms, but I'm trying to remember what Psalms it is. Wow. I really can't remember. I will still try to find it here. Right, it was basically just backing up the same thing it says in the last verse there. Right? Let's see if I can find it real quick. It pulls up this one. Um, some something. Right, Psalms. Wow, I'm not finding it, right? But it was basically just backing up the same thing. Lord will be we are the righteous, He watches over the righteous. He cares for the righteous, which is the elect. Right, I'm finding it, but we go end it off there. Right, because that was just a short lesson on that. I'll come back with another one, right? Hopefully this lesson was edifying to Lord's elect. Alright. Giving all praises, all honor and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone and Shalom, to the Lord's elect and Shalom, Abakarim and dead thieves with a place, Shalom, Shalom to the elect. I know I always say, brothers, 1 Corinthians 15:58, always abound in the work of the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahshai, because you know your labor in the Lord is not in vain. Alright, brothers, stay strong and Shalom. On to the next. Keep fighting.